Hello everyone, I wanted to go over some weathering techniques that would be helpful, and I wanted to go over doing washes, talk a little bit about dry brushing and using rub and buff, and doing some weathering for aluminum tape. And a lot of this is to help with photography. It makes things look more realistic and can photograph better, gives it some depth and texture. So I want to kind of do these kind of quickly. So I'll do the aluminum foil first, and then I'll do a wash on a 3D printed piece, and then I'll do a little bit of work with rub and buff. And let me just show you how this looks. So with aluminum tape, which is really good for getting a metallic finish to any surface, it's adhesive, you can do a lot of things with it. You can have some problems with photographing. So what you can do is hit it with steel wool. And this does not show up on video as well as when you see it in photography, but I can kind of dull the surface with steel wool. Take a little bit of, I'll use a paper towel in this case, a little bit of shoe polish. A little cheap shoe polish. There's actually specialty products that work on this too. And wipe it into the aluminum tape, and it gets into those nooks and crannies, and it dulls the finish, but it makes it look more metallic, more like steel than shiny aluminum tape. Real quick and easy trick to do. And the second important trick is to making washes. So this is a 3D printed caliper, and if I want to give it some depth and get some more visual interest in this, I can paint it with a wash. It will make it either look weathered or give it depth. I can do dry brushing too, which you often do to get highlights, which I won't go over here, but that's where you just brush lightly with a almost dry brush and it'll pick up highlights. So I want to show a wash. So washes, for weathering, I often use burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, these kind of colors, mix it with water, and then it's a very peaceful thing. It's kind of powerful. You paint it on and wipe it off, much like you saw with the aluminum tape. So here, this is going to be a little bit heavy on white, but I think it will video better. So I'm going to paint on this wash, a diluted acrylic in my case. Then I'm going to wipe it down, and it just gives it this real nice depth and realism that makes it come to life a bit more. Very important for weathering, as I mentioned. You can make things look rusty. You can do all kinds of good things. Here with this is burnt sienna. It is a bit punchy on this, but again, for model building, it's a great way to show rust. And like in something that's light color like this, I might like more yellow ochre, so it's not so dramatic. And I'll mention too, in this regard with acrylics, you can do other tricks too. So you can layer acrylics, you can have an undercoating, and you can sand through it to reveal that, and that has some very interesting effects. You can use hairspray or salt to present that undercoated color too. And salt is kind of interesting because it gives you sort of a flake look. It really does look like a flaking type of rust look like you might see in a 70s car. So very powerful stuff that way. Or you can just sand it. So that's doing a wash with acrylic. So it's just, you just dilute the acrylic a little bit, and you can wipe it right down and get the effect you want. So this again is a bit more dramatic than you might think otherwise. So now I want to do, I'm going to go over rub and buff. One of my favorite products. You can get them in different colors. I use the silver a lot. It's really good for showing sort of the revealed under metal, so paint that's chipped off. Instead of using silver paint to paint in highlights, rub and buff I think gives you a nicer effect. And I use gold sometimes too. The problem with gold is if you go thin, it will look black. So what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to do a little bit with this rocket here, and then I'll try this nose cone first. This is for a rocket I built, and I'm going to put a little bit on a cloth, and you only need a smidgen. This lasts you forever, basically. Well, and this is not necessarily something I would do. This is, but I'm going to try it out here, see what it looks like. I'm going to put a little bit of gold on the tip of this. This is a silver painted tip for a rocket. Like I said, we'll do the body. But the gold isn't, to me, as interesting. If I put it on, gold I have to put on kind of heavy. I'll put some on there, though, just give it a look. But the silver on the black, which I'll do next here, is going to be more dramatic. And you can use this on different material. It works well with wood and all sorts of things. And there's a little bit of, actually I kind of like to, well, I won't go any more with that. Okay, let me do this one. This is I'll get it set up. This is a rocket from a kit, which is really unusual for me to build from a kit on a rocket, because I made lots of rockets, and I like to do them from scratch. And it's very joyous to shoot a rocket. I don't know what that's all about, but it is. So here's my silver, which is my go-to. Whoa. And I'm going to have to get a little, hold on one second. And I'm going to put a little bit of that on a rag and then do some highlights with it. I don't know why that's been a stinker, but it is. Okay. Oh wow, I'm having a little problem here, but we'll see if I can get that to work. Okay. Alright, so I just need a little bit of this. And I'm going to put it, and this is kind of funny because this fuselage when I painted it fit right on this kicker can. And talking about things that last forever, these accelerants are, oops, I got some paint I made. They last forever too. I was just impressed at how they fit perfectly. So I'm going to put a little bit on the edge here, and just a little bit, and see if I can get a little weathering effect, and put it along the edges. And I have another video, one from the Makerspace, where I did this on a first aid kit. And don't put too much on, and make it, you want to make it vary. And this I'm doing really fast, but you can see, hopefully it shows up, so you get some nice effects there. Okay, so that's rub and buff, good stuff, lasts you a long time. And oh, and I'll show just for extra credit here, this is, so to speak, this is a prop I'm working on for Shrek. The musical got canceled, but I'll just put that up here. Just, I don't know how well that's showing, but made this out of both hard copper down here and with annealed copper, the soft copper, which I really like. And this is all soft copper. I want it to be a steampunk thing. It's not done yet. I'm going to have some wing nuts here. I use this beautiful tubing I like so much. Do all kinds of stuff with that, and also copper wire. And so I'm not really done, but that's a piece that will be used in the musical. So good fun. Okay, thank you for joining me.